Welcome to So Plane.
Chemical arm flights.
Hi guys, Nick here. For today's trip report, we are back in Japan again. And we're flying on AIRDO from Tokyo Haneda to Asahikawa in Hokkaido on a vintage 22-year-old 767. It's funny because when I was a kid, I would avoid flying older planes, but now I get really excited when I get the chance to travel on a more mature lady. This flight was booked as part of an open jaw ticket from Glasgow to Asahikawa via Frankfurt and Tokyo, with the return flight starting in Tokyo to come back to Glasgow via Frankfurt, and this was actually cheaper than a simple return ticket from Glasgow to Tokyo. So come join me for a bit of Haneda plane spotting, a quick trip to the ANA domestic lounge, and to find out what to expect on an AIRDO domestic flight. Let's do this! Welcome aboard! It's 7 a.m. and we just arrived from Frankfurt. When arriving in Japan on an international flight, you have to pass through immigration and customs at your port of entry. So we had to collect our luggage and check in again for our flight to Asahikawa. Luckily, this is easily done in Terminal 3, with check-in desks for connecting flights just outside the arrivals hall. Bye baggies! With them dropped off, we hopped on a shuttle bus to Terminal 2, from where our flight was leaving. The shuttle was free and only took 5 minutes. However, for the more adventurous among you, there's also the choice of taking a train or even the monorail to travel between the terminals. They are free to use as well, but you have to go and get a ticket from a manned counter by showing staff your passport and boarding pass. A lot of fluff that I really did not need first thing in the morning after a long haul flight. We had about 5 hours to kill, so went straight to the top floor, which in my opinion is the best place to hang out in Terminal 2. Yes, it's an outdoor viewing platform. Perfect for plane spotting, sunning yourself, and also sniffing kerosene. It's pretty much AvGeek heaven. God, I love Japan. Being the cheapskate that I am, I dragged myself away from the viewing platform to get some breakfast in the lounge and make the most of my Star Alliance gold card. Big mistake! Not only was there no view from the lounge, but there was also no food either. Just drinks and lots of alcohol. There was actually a shocking amount of people having beer at 10 a.m. and that's coming from someone who lives in Scotland. Oh wait, there was some food. There, these rice crackers, there. Anyway, we decided to skip breakfast and get bento boxes for the flight instead, which we were allowed to take on board. Hooray! And there is our plane, a vintage 767. Just wait until you see the interior. In case you were wondering, in Japan, they board an all-economy 767 in under 20 minutes. On AIRDO, you are greeted by not one but 2 bears. Kawaii overload. AIRDO operates quite a few second-hand 767s, which means the cabin configurations differ slightly between planes, but all of them have a 232 seating configuration. The seats were quite vintage, sporting a chunky design which made you feel like you were travelling back in time, but in a good way. Our seats on this flight were 9F and G, and I have to say the thick cushion really made for a comfortable flight, and I loved the whole retro feel of it. The legroom was also really good, both for short legs and longer legs. There was no welcome PA in English. However, the safety video was both in English and Japanese. I found it interesting that the flight attendants basically did not speak English at all. Enjoyed this video, please feel free to like, subscribe and follow me on social media at FlySoPlane across Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. The complimentary in-flight service on these flights is quite limited, consisting of liquids of the non-fun variety, including coffee, onion soup. Yes, onion soup. I would have loved to try that, but I have an onion intolerance, which actually I don't think you want to know, so let's swiftly move on. Other liquids on offer are cold green tea, mineral water, apple juice and cold milk coffee. If you were that way inclined, you could also pay 500 yen for an onion and rice soup. Again, that would probably have ruined my Laviator experience. Apparently, Hokkaido is famous for its onions. And if you want fun juice, you can get a beer for 500 yen and red wine for 600 yen, both of which come with a side of crackers. If you remember, we self-catered with a bento box from the airport. It was gorgeous, but seriously, there was just so much packaging for a bit of sushi. But like anything Japanese, they turned a boxed meal into an experience. The sushi itself was to die for. It was a Nara-style sushi with salmon and mackerel wrapped in persimmon leaves. Ugh, yum! And there is my complimentary apple juice. The cup with the bare face was so kawaii. I know, I'm such a dork. Now let's check out the lavatory, thankfully without onion issues. The loo was quite small but spotless, as you would expect from a Japanese airline. I've seen ground coffee being used to deal with unwanted odors in plane toilets before, but lavender is a first. And I like it. In case you wondered, Hokkaido is also famous for its lavender fields. By the way, Furano is where we went skiing. But anyway, let's get back to plane business. And as always, here is the SoPlane flush test. All in all, this was an enjoyable flight. As you may have guessed by now, I'm pretty easygoing and don't really demand that much. I really enjoyed being able to fly on the 767, something that's becoming a bit of a novelty now. The plane was tip-top spotless clean and the seats super comfortable. The flight service was limited but adequate for a short internal flight. I've said it before and I'll say it again, even a cup of water is more than what you'd get on British Airways these days. The crew was quite sweet, but I was surprised by how little English they actually spoke. I also appreciated how AIRDO celebrates Hokkaido produce such as onions and lavender. AIRDO had been on my bucket list for quite a while, and I'm glad that I've done it now. Thanks for coming with me on this short journey. and enjoy the snowy mountains of Hokkaido as we approach Asahikawa Airport.